Hi, my name is Karen,
And I'm Brooke.
and we are continuing our journey through Strength in Our Story. I'm a counselor, and in my office, a lot of times I'm dealing with individuals who are going through a crisis, and they're in the middle of the crisis, but then they come through that crisis, and they start rebuilding their lives. But then all of a sudden, something happens in their life, and they come back in, and they feel like they're right back in the original crisis that they were in when they first came into my office. And we have to kind of unpack that and realize there's no way you could be in the original crisis because time has passed. Just because time has passed, you can't be in the original crisis, no matter how familiar the feelings are. This is really prominent when somebody has lost something. For example, if they're going through grief, and then all of a sudden they lose something again, they'll feel the intensity of that shock and the trauma of the loss and the anger and the bewilderment, and they feel like they're back at square one in their grieving process, and that they're not. They're just in familiar places. Their emotions are familiar with this, but they're not in the same place. And that's what happens in our lives a lot of times. We have loss, a crisis, and we overcome, we rebuild, we go on, and then all of a sudden we get hit with something else. And if we're not careful, we'll tend to make the agreement with the belief that, oh, here it is again, I'm going through the exact same thing. This is going to keep happening in my life. It's never going to change. But that's not the truth. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, and I feel like we're talking about one of my counseling sessions.
Or one of
I've
mine.
experienced this before. And you feel the feelings, and you're like, I can't be back here. So we rebuke the feelings, and then we repent of the feelings, and then we possibly binge eat ice cream, whatever seems to work for a little while. But the truth is, it is really the goodness of God at times to let these places kind of get revisited, these hurts. Because when we go through a major loss or trauma, there's so much loss on so many different levels. And if we felt the entire loss all at one time, if we realized everything that was lost at one time, it would destroy us. Mm-hmm. But God's never going to leave those places of loss untended. And we see this in Joseph's story. He experienced so much pain when he was sold into slavery by his own family. He was abandoned, he was rejected, he was in physical danger. There was so much pain and so much loss. And he goes on with his life. He is overcoming. He's doing amazing things. He keeps his eyes on the Lord. He keeps moving forward. And then you fast forward, and he's in the palace. And he's ruling, and he's reigning over Egypt. He's married. He has 2 sons. And he's even named his sons to represent the faithfulness of God. And one of his sons' names meant, God made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. And the other name meant, God has caused me to forget my father's household. But what I don't think Joseph realized, and what I don't think we realize when we're in so much pain, is it's never God's intent for us to forget. It's always God's intent to heal. We'll remember the loss. We'll remember the hurt. But God wants to heal every pain associated with it. And the fact that Joseph wanted to forget showed there was still pain attached to it. Mm-hmm. And then one day he's in the palace doing his big shot stuff, whatever you do when you run an entire country. I don't know. Can barely keep my house running on a daily basis, but he's running this whole country and doing it well. And his brothers show up out of the blue, and he's wrecked. He is undone. At one point, I want you to imagine this. He is on the job. This is at work. So you are at work, and Joseph breaks down, and he is sobbing so loudly. It says all of Egypt heard him.
Right.
And they actually people went and told Pharaoh, like, somebody broke Joseph. Like, somebody has broken Joseph. Like, Joseph is saving the world. He can't break down right now. But he is. He is an important man, but he is falling apart. Because this pain hadn't been healed. But it was the goodness of God to say to Joseph, your wholeness, your healing matters that much to me. That I'm not going to let you just forget it. I'm not going to let you just stuff this and leave it behind. I'm going to bring up, there's another place of healing that you need, and I'm going to bring it. So if you are experiencing any of this, if you are having places of pain that you thought had been dealt with in our past, recognize it as an invitation from the Lord. Ask him about it. Ask him what is going on here. And possibly he is inviting you into more healing. And if you would like to look into this, if you would like to walk through this with us, follow the links below and join us at Strengthen Our Story.